Draft season is officially here, and as a result of that, I am going to start breaking down prospects, and I have been asked a lot about Kelvin Banks Jr., the offensive tackle from Texas, and Will Campbell out of LSU. I have been asked who do I think is the best prospect out of the two, and I'm going to tell you who I think is number one. And I think you can see based on the image here who is going to hold that spot down, at least for now. So I have watched 2 to 3 games so far on both prospects, and for me, it's pretty simple. I went into Kelvin Banks expecting a lot. And just based on a lot of the hype and what everyone was telling me, I hadn't watched Texas football all year, so I had expected a lot. I came away wanting more. And when I got into Will Campbell's tape, he gave me kind of what I was expecting to see from Banks. And I'll do my own individual breakdown on Banks. This one's more surrounding uh, Campbell, but we'll talk about it as well. So in that initial study, and again, I still have more work to do on both of them before I feel definitive on it, but I'm just telling you where I'm leaning right now. And where I stand right now is Banks, at least out of the top three offensive tackles that I've seen, including the West Virginia kid, Campbell to me is the best offensive tackle. So with him, some of the things that stand out are his base. For me, a non-negotiable for being an elite offensive tackle in the NFL is feet, hips, and how you move. And you can see some examples right here with how he moves, his base, is the way he can keep his balance. Those things are huge. You have to be able to have a good kick step. You have to be able to move your feet in the NFL because you are going against the top athletes in the game. The biggest, strongest, fastest are the defensive ends, your Myles Garrett's, your TJ Watts. You have to be able to move. You also have to be able to deal with that power. And you just saw in that clip his ability to anchor. Now, there are areas to improve in his game as well. But the thing that really stands out to me and why he is my current offensive tackle one is his ability to use his feet. He has very, very good feet. He's a very good athlete. And to me, I am moving away from big bodied, lumbering offensive linemen. It is just not what I am looking for personally in what I consider or where I think the league should be headed. I think the league needs to be headed to athletes at the tackle position. And that's why Campbell, at least one of the reasons why Campbell is my offensive tackle one. And the other thing that I just absolutely love about his game is when he gets his paws on you, he moves you. And it was almost surprising because he plays kind of high. One of my critiques of his game is his pad level. He can get really high because he's pretty tall and he kind of rides high as a result, being 6'6", 323 pounds. So one of the things I would like to see him do is get that pad level down. But when he gets his hands on you and he gets those hands on the chest plate, as you can see him moving, Nick Scorton, I believe is how you say his name, and also a potential top 15 draft pick. You see the power. He is very powerful, and it almost surprised me because he has a great punch and he really knows how to move people. Now, there is an ability to be more consistent in this area, but when you go and you watch his film and you see like he's engaged and you're like, all right, he's just blocking him. And then all of a sudden he punches and the guy goes flying, you're like, oh, you have real power behind those punches. Now he gets knocked for his arm length all the time. If you're new to this channel, I don't hold arm length as heavily as a critique as others for offensive linemen. I'm of the belief you can either play or you can't. And if you have short arms, you figure out how to overcome that based on your skill set. So yes, is it something to consider? Sure, of course, but it's not an end all be all for me. I could honestly care less at times as long as you can continue to prove you can win how you win. So when you see him get his hands on people, boy, does he know how to move, man? And here you see him squatting 616 pounds, throwing up a little wink at you. Bro's got swag. He's got confidence. To me, he's one of the complete prospects, at the offensive line position that I have been able to watch so far. Now, there's still plenty more for me to get into with his tape, but first impression, initial watch, it's not for me. Again, my preference might be different than others. My preference for what I'm looking for in offensive linemen, especially offensive tackles, who I think could be elite offensive tackles, he fits a lot of that criteria. Now, again, he's not a perfect prospect. There are things for him to improve, but I mean, he has been doing it at LSU. He is a consensus All-American. He is one of the top offensive linemen in the country for a reason. And that's why, if he is available at 11, I think the 49ers should absolutely consider it. And maybe this is kind of how I think of how they would make this work, because you do have Colton McKivitz. He's still under contract. So the first thing I would attempt to do if you are drafting him at 11, and you could start this in OTAs and minicamp, is you put him at right tackle. Now, I will be the first to tell you that switching from left to right, especially at tackle, is one of the harder things for offensive linemen, because everything changes. And I guarantee you, he has only played left tackle most likely throughout his career. I can actually look that up and tell you what that. But I do think that it is a much harder transition for tackles. We saw it with Penei Sewell, right? They tried to put him at left tackle. It didn't really work all that great. And as a result of that, they kicked him back to right tackle. And of course, he's absolutely just thriving, right? So my thing would be, try him out at right tackle. And if that doesn't work, like let's say it's not as seamless as we had hoped for, then I would consider kicking him to left guard. Some people do believe he is a guard in this draft. I don't. He, to me, is so far the purest tackle that I've come across, and so that's the way that I'm looking at it. So you could potentially put him at right tackle, kick McKivitz to left guard. I do think that would, and I've said it all along, I think McKivitz would actually be a better guard than he would be a tackle. He's a serviceable tackle, but I actually think he could do some work at left guard or right guard. And so that's, I think, how you can make it work. And I'm just looking up Will Campbell. It doesn't appear he's played right tackle at LSU. He is a 3-year starter at left tackle. So that would have to be, you would have to consider that. You would have to be able to see, can he play that position? But that's like how I functionally think about him on our roster, is how you would fit him into this. He would have to start year one. So it's either starting at right tackle or left guard, because I don't think Aaron Banks is going to return. But just listen to this clip of him talking. This clip was the first thing I saw of him that made me just be like, all right, dude, I hope your tape matches. So take a listen to this.
1 sack a game for 12 games. You're going to work at Amazon. Nothing wrong with that. But whenever we're here, this is what we're striving for. If you ever got the time, go back and watch my first play of college football. I got my face ran through, punished. And that's just what it is. I mean, to be thrown in the fire like this against good teams, these dudes are trying to get paid. And all they got to do is get to the quarterback. One thing we live by in the O-line room, a D lineman get 1 sack a game, and that's the only thing he can do. 12 games, he'll be a top 5 pick. you give up 1 sack a game for 12 games, you're going to work at Amazon.
So I like him, dude. I like him. He got the swag. He knows. Like, he's got the vibes. Um, it all kind of checks out for me. So right now he's my current offensive tackle one. I know 49er fans are very high on upgrading the offensive line. Now, I don't know if the 49ers would do this if he is available. But for me personally, I would absolutely consider it. And then my plan would be try him out at right tackle. If that doesn't work, kick him down to left guard. You have a pathway to get him on to the field as a rookie. So he fits a need. He would be one of the best prospects right in front of you. And I would love to see it, but I also want to know what you guys have to think. I will do like extensive film breakdowns on these guys. I'm just telling you my first impressions right now, and that includes Banks as well, because I'm sure you guys will want to see that. Drop the prospects that you want to see me break down in the comments below, and as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.